Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, and this is 21 albums that I plan to listen to in June 2024. The genres that I tend to focus on are metal, rock, and progressive music. And I just want to put some things on other people's radars in case they haven't heard of all these releases that I'm planning to check out. And every week on my channel, I'm going to post my first impressions of the new albums that I listened to that week. So stay tuned if you want to hear my first impressions of these albums. So let's go in order of release, starting with June 3rd, Barock Project released. So I'm recording this on June 6th. So two of these are already out, but the rest are still to come. So Barock Project released Time Voyager, which is the seventh album by this Italian band, and it's like neo-prog rock. It's got like symphonic influences, neoclassical, baroque, alternative, and folk in there as well. And I never listened to an album by Barock Project before, but I heard the early single called The Lost Ship Tavern, which had a very cool, hard rocking, progressive version of a pirate sea shanty. It actually it reminds me a bit of folky pirate metal music, but it's not quite metal. It's more so prog rock. And I feel like I hear a bit of Jethro Tull, Gentle Giant, Deep Purple influence on it. I found the vocals sounded a bit like Styx and Ice Age, which is great because I love those bands. So check it out if that sounds appealing to you. That's Baroque Project with Time Voyager. Next, I'll be listening to Hasse Fröberg and Musical Companion and their album Eternal Snapshots, the sixth album by the Swedish band, and it's a progressive rock opera. Never listened to an album by them before either, but I heard the early single called Once in a Lifetime. That got me interested in this. Check it out if you like rock operas. I think fans of bands like Arion and Meatloaf might like this. Then I'm recording this on June 6th, so June 7th will be tomorrow. Maybe that'll be the day. Maybe I'll only put out this video on June 7th, so it might be today if you're watching this as the video is coming out. Evergrey is releasing Theories of Emptiness. So this is a great Swedish progressive power metal band, and this is their 14th album. And every album I've heard by them has been good, but I feel like they never quite reach the near masterpiece level for me, even though I think they're very capable musicians. It's really good music. I think fans of Symphony X and Stratovarius will like Evergrey. So check it out. Evergrey Theories of Emptiness, if that sounds appealing to you. Then Richard Henshall on the same day is releasing Mu Volume 1. This is an EP by this amazing British guitar player from the band Haken. This is progressive metal with jazz fusion influences, and it's the first EP in a trilogy of EPs. I really loved his debut solo album, The Cocoon. The singles from Mew Volume 1 have been some of the best, if not the absolute best instrumental songs of the year. I kind of wish he put all three volumes of Mew, so he's going to release it in a trilogy. I kind of wish it was all together in one LP rather than three EPs. But whatever, he decided to do it this way. I'm still going to enjoy the music. I also hope he will have some songs that have vocals, because as much as he can do great instrumentals, I actually like the vocal tracks on his debut solo album, The Cocoon. So I want to hear some more of that. Then on the same day, the Omnific is releasing Law of Augmenting Returns, the second album by this Australian instrumental progressive metal band. They have two bass players in this band and one drummer. So it's a very unique band. You don't hear too many bands without a guitarist or a keyboardist. And especially you don't hear too many bands with two bass players playing instrumental prog metal. But they play bass in a very melodic way, like a lead instrument. Like they're basically like guitar shredders, but shredding on bass. I saw them live before and they put on a great show. If you're a fan of other instrumental progressive metal bands like Animals as Leaders intervals, Chant and Polyphia. Definitely check this out. This band has their niche sound though. As players and writings, they're just as their playing and writing is just amazing. I just wish there were vocals here. Their sound does sort of sound gimmicky after a while when you listen to a full album of just nonstop bass and drum shredding. The early release single Bass Camp is a great track, and I like how it features orchestral elements near the end to add some different sounds rather than just two bass and one drums. Then last one for June 7th on my list is the Crooked Fiddle Band releasing The Free Wild Wind and the Songs of the Birds, fourth album by this Australian band. This is progressive folk rock with some world music and punk influences as well. And a band that I've never listened to an album by before, but I did hear the early release single called Deadly Night Snakes that got me interested. It's an instrumental track, lots of cool fiddle playing, double bass, mandolin. It has a very world music sound to it. Some parts sound like Celtic Irish jig music, and other parts sound Middle Eastern. So check it out if that sounds appealing to you. That's the Crooked Fiddle Band and The Free Wild Wind and the Songs of Birds. Now let's jump over to June 11th. Is releasing Collapse the Wave, their 10th album. They're a great American symphonic progressive rock band. I discovered the band Izz by seeing them live, and they blew me away. This would be a great band to check out if you're a fan of Yes. They've got male vocals and female vocals, busy bass guitar playing, nice keyboards and guitars. They sometimes have some parts that are a bit darker than Yes, like closer to King Crimson sound. The early release single for this album, There's Hope, is great. So I'm really looking forward to this one by Izz called Collapse the Wave on June 11th. And let's talk about June 14th. Lots of great stuff coming out on June 14th. Julie Christmas is releasing Ridiculous and Full of Blood. I love her collaborative album with Cult of Luna from 2016 called Mariner. It's my favorite Cult of Luna album. All her solo stuff that I've heard sounds good as well, but I've never listened to a full solo album by her yet, besides her collaboration with Cult of Luna Mariner. I heard two singles from this one, and they sounded great, so added it to my list. The singles were called Not Enough and Supernatural. If you like kind of post-metal with some post-hardcore and sludge metal mixed in, check out Julie Christmas's third album, Ridiculous and Full of Blood, out on June 14th. Next up is Ulcerate and Cutting the Throat of God, the seventh album by this band from New Zealand. This is avant-garde technical death metal with post-metal influences. Their seventh album, of course. I haven't heard all of their albums yet, but I did hear their last album from 2020, Stare into Death and Be Still. I thought that was an excellent album. The singles that came for this new 2024 release so far have also been excellent, so I really do expect great things here from Ulcerate on Cutting the Throat of God. Now let's talk about Return to the Earth and Stalagmite Steeple, the fifth album by this British band. It's progressive rock with alternative and post-rock influences. Another band that I've never listened to an album by before, but the single I heard, Dark Morality, is just beautiful atmospheric track for fans of Porcupine Tree, Pink Floyd, and the Pineapple Thief. Got two more on June 14th. Second last one on that day that I'm going to be checking out is the Decemberists with As It Ever Was, So It Will Be Again. This is... Oh, wait, I skipped one. I skipped Airbag. Let's talk about Airbag first. The Century of the Self is coming out. This is the sixth album by this Norwegian band, neo-progressive rock. And another one for fans of Porcupine Tree, Pink Floyd, and a bit of Radiohead vibe in here. because it's got that alternative rock influence mixed in with the prog. The single Awakening actually sounds to me like a mix of the song Lazarus by Porcupine Tree and Creep by Radiohead, but with someone who sounds like David Gilmour of Pink Floyd playing lead guitar. If that sounds appealing to you, check out Airbag and The Century of Self. Now I can get back to the Decemberists. I was getting a bit ahead of myself here, as it ever was. So it will be again their ninth album. They're a great American indie rock band. They've got some pop, they've got folk, they've got alternative, they've got progressive rock influence in here. I've always liked what I've heard from the Decemberists before, but I've never been in love with any of it. The first single I heard from this album was pretty straightforward single, but a catchy indie rock song called Burial Ground. The second single was an interesting one because it's a 19-minute indie rock prog epic called Joan in the Garden, which is more interesting to me. I'm not sure it quite warranted to be as long as it was, though, because there's a lengthy section of what I like to call pointless ambient noise that could certainly have been shortened. But I do like that there's lots of different cool parts in that song. It really got me interested in checking out the whole album. And lastly, for June 14th is Black Country Communion with BCC 5, their fifth album. They're an American hard rock band, got that blues influence in there. They're a super group that features the bassist and lead vocalist Glenn Hughes, who has played with Trapeze, Deep Purple, and Black Sabbath. They feature a guitarist and second vocalist Joe Bonamassa, drummer Jason Bonham, who's the son of John Bonham of Led Zeppelin. Jason Bonham has played with Led Zeppelin himself after his father's death, and keyboardist Derek Sherinian, who has toured and recorded with Alice Cooper, Billy Idol, Joe Bonamassa, among others. He was also a member of Dream Theater from 1994 to 1999. He's the founder of Planet X and also one of the founding members of Sons of Apollo and Whom Gods Destroy. And Derek Sherinian also has 9 solo albums that have featured a variety of prominent guest musicians, including Slash, Yngwie Malmsteen, Alan Holdsworth, Steve Lukather, Joe Bonamassa, Michael Schenker, Steve Vai, Al Demiola, and drummer Simon Phillips. So these are all very experienced players playing here in Black Country Communion. It's an all-star cast. That alone is a reason for me to check this out, even though their sound is a bit old school, bluesy, hard rock for my taste. I like a lot of the classics in that genre from Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin. So if this lives up to some of those classics, I think it could be really great. Now let's talk about June 21st. I'll be checking out Replacire. I'm not sure how to Replacire. I'm not sure how to say that name. And their album, The Center That Cannot Hold. This is their third album. They're an American technical death metal band. They've got thrash metal, melodic death metal, progressive metal, and heavy metal influences. And they feature a guitarist I really enjoy named Key Po Hawk, who has played with Native Construct and also released great instrumental prog metal as a solo artist. And a shameless plug here for my song, Purifery, which features a guest guitar solo from Key Po Hawk, who plays in this band Replacire, which you can find on my YouTube channel, Bandcamp, and SoundCloud. Now, back to Replacire, I heard the title track of this album, which was released ahead of time as a single, and it is intense, brutal, heavy, and technical with fast guitar playing. Check this album out if you're a fan of bands like The Faceless. The second single I heard, A Fine Manipulation, sounds so much like The Faceless. Most of the vocals are harsh, but that song even has some clean vocal moments like you'd get in The Faceless. Next, let's talk about Alcest and Les Chants de l'Horreur, the 7th album by this French band. This is post-metal with black metal, shoegaze, and post-rock and dream pop influences. The single I heard called L'Envol is a really beautiful and atmospheric track that fans of Death Heaven and Astronoid should like. It even sounds like there's a bit of a Porcupine Tree and Steven Wilson influence on here. Most of the vocals are clean on this track. There's a mix of male and female vocals, but also some harsh black metal shrieks at times. Then I'll be checking out Pepe Deluxe with their album Comix Sonix, the sixth album by this Finnish band. And this is kind of psychedelic rock. The genres on here are all over the place because there's lots of genre bending, but psych rock with electronica, hip hop, baroque pop, art rock, and progressive rock all mixed together. Everything I've heard from Pepe Deluxe has been very eclectic and weird. Maybe fans of King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard would like this due to all the genre hopping and experimentation. Maybe even some Mr. Bungle fans would like this too. The song Sweet Baby Son gave me some sounded a bit like Mike Oldfield to me. It gave me some of those vibes from time to time, especially in the parts with female vocals. I was reminded of those Mike Oldfield albums that feature some female vocalists. Then I'll be checking out A Long Game of Spider and their EP, The Fall. This is melodic metalcore. And if you want to hear some metalcore with just really catchy melodic vocal hooks, I think this is definitely a band to check out. Their single Let Go has the typical metalcore formula of brutal, heavy verses with harsh vocals and then a clean, catchy vocal chorus. It's just done really well with some electronic influences, but it doesn't go too far in that electronic direction and get annoying. And then the last one that I'm checking out on June 21st, unless, of course, I will probably hear about other albums that are coming out between now and then, so I'll probably add to my list. It's ever growing. But Rendezvous Point is releasing Dream Chaser, the third album by this Norwegian band. This is progressive metal. I heard the single Don't Look Up. That got me interested in checking this out. And let's go to the last three on the last day where I have releases for the month, which is June 28th. And Kaipa is releasing this long album name that's hard to pronounce, but I'm going to give it a shot right now. Summer Grinningseljuice. Summer Grinningseljuice. I don't know. I'm assuming it's Swedish, and I don't speak Swedish. This is the 15th album by this Swedish band. It's symphonic progressive rock. And if you're a fan of bands like the Flower Kings, Yes, and Genesis, I think you'll have to check this out. The singles I heard had great keyboards. One of them features mostly female vocals, while the other features a great mix of male and female vocals. Sorry, I'm yawning a lot today. I'm recording this like in the evening, and I'm just a tired person. And the Dave Foster Bands, the second last album that I want to mention today, Maybe They'll Come Back for Us is the name of that. The fifth album by this band from the UK. It's progressive art rock. It was released physically already on May 31st, but it only comes out on streaming on June 28th. The bits I've heard from this ahead of the release have great guitar parts, great female vocals. Check it out if you like the sounds of that. That's Dave Foster Band, and Maybe They'll Come Back for Us. And then last album on my list for June to check out is The Warning and their album Keep Me Fed, the fourth album by this Mexican hard rock band that features three sisters just rocking out as a hard rock power trio. Check it out if that sounds great to you. The Warning, Keep Me Fed. And that's it for these 21 albums that I'm going to be checking out in June. I'll probably end up checking out more, and it'll end up being more like 25. I'm maybe even 30 if I hear about a lot of great stuff. Let me know down in the comments which of these albums you're most excited for. What do you think is going to be the best? What do you think is going to be the worst on this list? And is there anything else you're planning on checking out that's coming out in June 2024 that I didn't mention? And I hope you found something here that you're excited to check out that you didn't know about before. And stay tuned for hit that subscribe button on my channel if you want to see my first impressions of these albums when they come out. I'll be posting those weekly on my channel. And at the end of June, I'll post which are my top 10 of the month. Until next time, peace out.